again. What day is it?
It is, well, technically Tuesday, but it's supposed to be the Friday recap, but we're doing it as the weekly recap the Tuesday after because that's what me and Elena do. We juggle multiple things in our lives, and
Mhm.
sometimes we can't always get on in the schedule. I know I drive Elena crazy with the. I think I don't know 5 or 6 schedule changes this week to make this
Well,
happen.
you're on
So
spring break. I don't know what spring break life is like yet. I got one more year because my kids start school in the fall.
spring break is actually cold, which is
Yeah.
crazy too, right? So we've been to Florida. This is the second time that we've done Florida for spring break, and we would
Hmm.
have thought we would have learned our lesson the first time that it does not get warm here. So I
Yeah.
think yesterday was a high of 44 degrees, so it doesn't feel very springy to
But
me.
there is something about wearing a sweater on the beach. Like it's that weird you're cozy on a beach, if that makes sense. Like I get the whole swimsuit thing, but I love being cozy on a beach.
I get that too, but I get it to a degree of like in the evenings, like when you want to go out for the sunset. During the
Or the
day, you want to just go
bonfire.
hang out and be in the sun.
Are you guys doing the bonfire this year?
Yeah, we're doing the bonfire. That's going to be Thursday night. So we typically try to do it Thursdays because we leave Saturday morning usually early, and we like to
Yeah.
really just enjoy the Thursday night. And if the night goes late, we can we still have Friday to kind of recoup. So yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, we're doing that Thursday.
So
So
I
I'm
got
excited about that. The
this.
funds always have a blast with that.
So we went with you guys 4 years ago because I got this from. Oh wait, where's my camera?
Oh yeah, yep.
4 years ago. And oh, happy St. Patrick's Day because remember I had
Happy
to make
St.
us all
Patrick.
corned beef
Yes, happy
cabbage.
St. Patrick's Day to you as
You're
well.
not wearing green. I'm texting the girls to go pinch your
I
ass.
am actually. I have a green
Where?
shirt on. My shirt underneath this is green.
Well, that doesn't count.
Well, I'm taking this off. It's cold, girl. Like I said, I wasn't expecting 44 degrees in Florida for this spring. Thankfully, I brought like one light jacket so I can survive. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in my cold plunge the whole day. It's crazy.
Well, cold plunges are good for you.
It is. It
Anyways,
is.
so
So,
what's been happening in
anyways,
your life?
yes. Recap. How was your week? How was Leno Sweetzer's week last
My
week?
week was good. This weekend I did something really cool and special. So I told you because obviously I have so much time on my hands. I run the family squad group in my neighborhood now. I've only been in the
Hmm.
neighborhood since September. Now I'm running this thing. But anyways, every month I try to do something themed for them. So I did a leprechaun coin hunt in the park because we can walk to the park from my house, and it was super cute. I got like little
Nice.
gold chocolate coins, and I threw them around the little playground area. And the kids had it's like an
Nice.
Easter egg hunt, but with coins. So they had to go
That's
find
awesome.
those, and then a few of them had W's on them. So a few of them got to get some prizes. And the parents, we did like a mini potluck and put on Irish music, and we just had a good time.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys
Yeah.
had fun. You make the best of it, which is fun. So, yeah, no, it similar to you. My week was pretty good. It's always hectic, right? And it's crazy when you're trying to lead up for a vacation. I think people don't realize, how you almost have to do double the work before you prepare for a vacation because you're trying to get everything set up for success for the following week. You don't want to come back to too much issues when you get back from
Hmm.
vacation, and you're trying to unplug to some degree. It's like, okay, cool, you get a week vacation, but I had to work 2 weeks worth of work to try to
Yeah.
cram it in so I can try to enjoy some breaks with the family. And but here we are. And Ellen and I talk about this all the time. This is the kind of stuff it takes, right? At the end of the day, when we're busy and we take on things like Ellen and I do, you got to make a time to do it, and you got to figure out a way to get up early and get some work in. And I've always done that on vacations because I'm typically, well, Allison gets up before me typically, but usually we're up before the kids and all that stuff anyway. So if I have to nail out, take care of some emails or some texts or call a couple
Hmm.
customers, I can handle it in the morning before we really get our day going. Really, where I want to be present is when my kids are awake and we're getting to
Right.
spend all that one-on-one time together, which is
Well,
good.
and it's funny to me when people tell me enjoy your vacation, like you shouldn't think about work. I'm like, if you owned a business, you would understand. Like work just doesn't shut off ever. Like I dream about this crap.
Yeah, it's not that's the sacrifice that Len and I make when you don't work an 8 to 5 type
Yeah.
job. It like you said, you don't get to shut it off. You just get to move the zip code. I tell people the work just travels with me to Florida. I just have
Yeah.
I have a different backdrop than I do in Dallas. So, but no, excited for this week. It's crazy that this is probably my last family spring break.
I was thinking about that for you. That's great. We
Yeah,
got
it's
one more with
weird.
Addie, but Dylan for sure because he's going to start doing his own things for college.
Yeah, he's going off to college, and then typically the college spring break doesn't line up with high school spring break, so it's weird. We're at that. It's again, we talked about this in the last episode, just that
Yeah.
chapter, right? We're turning the page, and you're going into a new chapter of life. I'm excited for what's to come for sure. I'm excited more for
Yeah.
him,
Get my
but
makeup
it's
on.
it's crazy when you start. We literally talked about this last night as a family. We said this is probably the last time we'll do a spring break together. It just the reality of it. And what's funny is I think I posted a couple days ago on something about this is that these things happen to you and they're the last time, and sometimes you don't realize they're the last time. These things just slowly but surely fade away, and then all of a sudden you look up and you're like, wow, that was 10 years ago when the last time we did that. It's just amazing how these things come and go so quickly, and if you're not present, if you're not in the moment, I'm seeing that more now as I'm getting older. I can just tell you, my time is becoming so much more valuable to me than anything. Anything monetary you can give me, it's more about how do I get as much of my time back as
Why do you think
possible.
older people don't care about the stupidest little crap anymore? Because they're like, they realize like it's irrelevant, you know?
Yeah, and I think a part of it too is, is they get, I agree. Like at the end of the day, they realize that they spent so many years sweating the small stuff, and it seemed like they were big things in the moment, right? And until you get older and you mature and those type of things, you just don't recognize it, and then you realize, wow, well, what was I doing it for? And everyone wants to have a good life. There's nothing wrong with wanting to have a good life. There's nothing wrong with being driven. There's nothing wrong with trying to make as much money as you possibly can. God knows that's what I want to do. I know Elena wants to do that as well. But I don't think I could ever be like one of these big, huge, multi-billionaire type business owners where they're just married to their work for decades at a time, and they have these massive houses and massive mansions and all the money they could ever have, and they look up and they have very little relationship to their kids or their
Yeah.
spouse, and they have broken homes, and they have homes of just very little, just I guess love for love. It's just that's kind of what the missing piece is, and I've definitely recognized that over the last few years. Is I want to make a very very good living. I would like to be above comfortable, but I don't think I could ever be just a
Yeah.
constant
So I
grinder.
told you, Cole, first of all, he did his first contract
Yes,
of his
congratulations,
career.
Cole. That's
I'm so pumped for
awesome.
him.
Yeah.
But anyway, so he was on the phone with another realtor in our office, and I don't know if I've talked about this already, but I'm going to bring him back up because it ties in what you're saying. But he was talking to another realtor in the office, and he was like, yeah, I just switched over to do real estate with my wife towards the end of last year, and blah, blah, blah. And then the guy was like, and he was like, Cole was like, I like the balance more. I'm seeing more of my son. My wife and I are hanging out a lot more. And then the guy goes to say, oh, yeah, that's what people say till they get so busy in real estate. He's like, I see my 1.5-year-old in passing. And then he goes off to talk about all the volume that he's doing this year and blah, blah, blah. And so he got off the phone, and I told Cole, I was like, first of all, this is why I just dislike realtors so much. It's such an egotistical industry. Like we're always having to brag about how much volume we're doing. You have a conversation with someone, they have to tell you their volume. They have to tell you what they're doing. And I literally just roll my eyes. But anyways, I told him, like, so many people are just chasing the volume and chasing the money that they forget their freaking family. Like the fact that you're bragging about barely seeing your 1.5-year-old in passing because you're doing so much business like that, that's not success to me. You
No,
know?
the priorities are messed up, right? And I just had this conversation with Dylan the other day because he's 18 and he's making he's doing what 18-year-olds do, and he's pushing the limits, and he's making limits, or he's making mistakes and he's making errors, and I'm trying to change kind of how I approach Dylan. And to what you just said, I told Dylan, I said, when your priorities get screwed up and what you're really focused on gets screwed up, if you don't rein that back in quickly, things can get out of control real quick. And then what ends up happening is you let little things slip over time. And I did, again, guys, this is when me and Elena get on this podcast, all we talk about is accountability, and we talk about these conversations because we've lived them. We've made these mistakes. We've made these errors. We're just
Yeah.
like you guys. We've got life of things that we wish we would have done differently, things we would have said differently, situations we wish we would have handled differently. And then, as like I said, I'm glad that I figured it out younger, in my opinion. I think you're even younger than me when you're starting to figure these things out, that when you have one go around on this earth, you have one chance. All of us, that's all we get is one. You don't get a second one. And learning and failure is part of that process, and it makes you who you are. It shapes you who you are. It's critical to life, in my opinion. But I can tell you right now that you really realize what's important, and again, where you want to spend your time and enjoy life. And I told my kids that, at the end of the day, if, my legacy is that, I was a great father, a loving husband, and I did everything I could to give you guys the best life possible, I'll take that. And that doesn't, maybe that doesn't mean that there's going to be millions of dollars for you at the end of it, but you're going to have as many memories as a family, and in my opinion, as a family can create. And that to me is going to be so much more valuable long term.
Well, that's the thing about wealth is everybody thinks it's all about money, but they don't realize it's actually about your legacy, which is continuing to live on. And I think that's the issue with so many people is they focus on building this money and then they don't raise the family correctly enough to continue it on. And that's why you see so many of these like entitled kids take over these inheritance and just blow it. Just blow it, or they ruin the company that their parents spent their lives building.
Right.
And, one day I hope our kids would take over what Cole and I are building, because I do strongly believe in what Cole and I are building. But if they don't, it is what it is. But I would hope that they would use what we have built and to continue to fund their life and their future generations.
Of course, that's what like I said. You hope that you guide them in that direction, and like you said, all you could do is put the stuff in front of him. At the end of the day, real estate might not be Kian's passion, and you guys have got to be okay with it. That's a
I don't know.
conversation.
That kid's a very good negotiator.
He is. He probably will be. He probably will be, knowing the kid. But again, it just looks like you know what I'm saying though. At the end of the day, like right now, they talk about this right now. There's so many businesses today that are for sale, and the main reason is because there's no succession plan. The kids don't want to run the family business anymore. The kids don't want to have that responsibility. The kids saw how many hours mom and dad spent in the business and how they didn't get that time with them as kids. They don't want to do that to the next generation. You're seeing this shift. You really are. And one thing I will say about millennials that I disagree with a lot of the values, and I disagree with a lot of what they're chasing. But I also do agree that these kids are now more about experiences. They're renting houses more. They're renting apartments more. They want vacations. They want to travel. They're waiting later in life to have children because they want to experience life. So you're seeing this shift, which is, again, it's not it doesn't mean it's wrong, right, or indifferent. It's just different, and it's different.
Well,
from
also
what we did.
millennials, as one, we also get hated on a lot because I feel like we get to experience that freedom of life a little bit more, but also we're a generation of working smarter and not harder.
Correct.
And that's why, and I don't know what the generation below is called. I really don't care. What is it? X? What is that?
I don't even.
Okay, whatever generations below the millennials that are like the TikTok generation. That's why people hate all these social media people, because they're making stupid money doing what they love. As you know, I've been like super into Lego lately, and I look at these content creators, and there's one that has 2 million followers, Ryan, and all she does is build Lego. That's it.
That's it.
She just sits on her camera. She builds Lego. She has 2 million followers. She gets paid a lot of money. Lego will send her sets. Other people will send her sets. Then you have another girl named Serena. I forget her last name. She's awesome content creator. Yeah. She's got over, I think, like 4 million followers on TikTok. And she just has fun. She just lives a good life. Like, you can tell by her spirit. She does charity stuff for kids. She's always doing art stuff. She's like, she did a claw machine for her mailman. And so, like, that went big. And I'm like, this girl's just literally loving her life. And she's getting paid to do that, Yeah. And I'm sure the older generation looks down and like, no, you need to go get a 9-to-5 job. You need to do this. You need to go get a degree. And I'm like, what has that done for you guys?
No, and what's crazy, you're absolutely right. And I think what ends up happening, I get caught in that trap, right? Because I get caught in that trap of trying to guide my kids and realize that their path is different because of what I established. So when me and Allison, like, we established a head start, a different path for them with a little bit less rocky roads. But, so it's different. And I think probably a lot of it's some envy, right? I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these older people are realizing now, like you just said, I put 40 years in, 45 years into a company. I've got a little bit of retirement, but I worked my whole life, and
Mm-hmm.
now I'm at the back half or the back quarter of my life. I didn't experience so many things I missed out on, so many things that I didn't do. Now I'm too old to enjoy them. My kids and my grandkids are off with their lives doing their own things, and I think regret is the most painful. That'll cost more than the discipline of doing anything ever would,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion. Regret is going to be something that and we've talked about this at nauseum probably, and for the people that continue to listen, I apologize for me repeating myself, but that's that important to me, is that I don't want to live the end of my life with regret. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say I left all my cards on the table. I gave it all that I had. I did what I could do to raise a family, to make a living, to create a career, but to also make memories with my family and to give them a head start so they could take the ball and run with it, right? This is you
Mm-hmm.
and me. This is you and me in the marathon, or you and me on the racetrack, Elena. We're carrying the baton right now. This is simply our time to carry the baton. That is it. And then there's going to be a time where that baton gets passed. And all you could do is you hope that you trained with the people you're passing the baton to, and they're is committed
Mm-hmm.
to the long-term goal as well, and you pass it on to them, and then that's their turn. It's their turn to run the race, right? And
Right.
hold the baton. That's what we're trying to do. And you look at these older people, and I think I sent you a clip or a video clip, and I watched it like 10 times now. And the guy's talking to his son, I believe. They're sitting on the patio, and he's still middle-aged man, and he's living life, he's enjoying life, he's embracing everything, he's taking in nature, all of these things. And he said that what was an eye-opening experience for him is that he went to a beach, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, and he goes, me and your mom that are in our 50s, early 60s were the young ones there. And he goes, and what you realize is you see these people and none of them are smiling, none of them are having a good time. And he said the reason why is because they realized in that moment they worked their entire life to get
Mm-hmm.
this moment. And now they're in this moment. They're sitting on a beach staring at the ocean, and they're too young to, or they're too old to really enjoy it. They can't walk in the sand. They can't get down the steps. They can't, they can't get in it. They don't want to travel. It's too difficult for them. And they realize they worked their entire life and never got it. Never got that experience till
You
the
know,
end.
and I think that's why entrepreneurs are booming so much right now because people are starting to figure that out. That why am I going to waste my life working a 9 to 5 for somebody else to get rich?
And
You know,
especially, yeah. And look at
like
this,
I was
like,
talking to one of my best friends, and she was telling me how she thinks there's some change going in on her company. And well, the company before, she's like, I'm already capped at how much I can make, and that's why she moved to different companies. But she's like, you can tell in the air they're moving stuff around, and I'm like, to me, I've only known entrepreneurship and owning my own business since I was 23. Right, I got out of college, did that, so I don't know what it's like to work for somebody else. And even in college, I was a waitress, so I controlled how many tips I made. Right, so I've only known what I can
oh,
create.
Elena
Right.
Swisser, a control freak. Oh, what you
Yeah.
talking?
And so when I hear people talking 9 to 5 and they complain about their jobs, I'm like, then do something about it.
Yeah,
Do something about it.
yeah.
Get out of your 9 to 5. I know it's scary. Or they look at my life and they're like, must be nice. You don't have normal hours. I'm like, I also have to work till 1 a.m. sometimes. I also have to work on the weekends. I also have to work on vacation. I also had to work the day my son was born, right? But nobody's going to tell me what to do. I can decide not to do those things. I control how much money I make. You know what I
Right.
mean?
No,
So it's scary, but
and
if I could do it at 23, you could do it at 45. You know what I
anyone
mean?
could do it. And what's crazy too is when they think that at 45 their life's over, and they think at 45 they're too old. And I'm like, guys, you have a computer and you have a phone and you have, like you just said, the person making Legos. Circling back to that point, and you and I know of a fairly famous person on a social platform, and that person's actually with me on this trip. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I can tell you firsthand what it's like to go in public with that person when she's known, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's in Kristen and Vinny are getting their first glimpse of it, and we'll tell you guys stories when we get back. But they're like, "Oh my goodness!" And I'm like, "It's crazy, right?"
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, what this allowed, what social media and TikTok and Instagram and all these different things allowed people to do, is to create the life they wanted to have, and they are, like you said, everyone can be an entrepreneur. Now, it doesn't mean you're good at it. It doesn't mean you're going to connect with people. It doesn't mean people are going to follow you or like your content or like being around you, but you have the ability to do what you love to do and make a business out of it because of what you and I are doing right now. We're case in point. You got an old school guy like me that can't stand this stuff, honestly, but I understand the importance of it. I understand how it can literally change the dynamic of someone's life completely by one feed, by one post, one correct statement. And the right person sees that content and they share it, and all of a sudden your life is completely different.
But it's a double-edged sword, in my opinion,
It
because
is.
social media, yes, you have some people who make great content
Yeah.
and inspirational and impactful. I guess that's the word I'm looking for, impactful content. But then you have some, which is the younger
Yeah.
generation, that
Yeah.
they do stupid shit on there, but the kids love it. The kids
Yeah.
love it, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so to me, I don't agree with the viral aspect on that, where you're just pretty much being a circus animal to the society. I don't agree with that,
I don't
because so
either.
many people now are trying to create content just for views. And unfortunately, the views come with the silly content.
Right.
And so I struggle with that with my real estate business, because I just had a coaching call last Thursday, and I told him, I was like, man, I'm just, it's wearing me out and it's in a loop. I was like, he's like, what are you talking about? You have good content. And I get told all the time how much people love my content. Like, I'll randomly go to Bunko and somebody like Marie, I loved your last video. That's the first thing they say to me.
Yeah.
And just like random people, even my networking group, they're like, we just love what you post and you're so authentic, but I don't get the most views. So it messes with me mentally, because I'm like, well, then it's not good enough. It's not good enough because I'm not getting 20,000 views like the realtor who walked up to the house with her ass shaking and ass on a tight dress. Right? And so I told him, I was like, I'll never be that realtor that I'm going to wear a sexy outfit just to show a house. It's not my personality. I'm also not going to be the realtor that goes on there and does fake stuff just to get views. That doesn't feel right for me. So
Yeah.
he
Well, we're
was
not
like,
like
well,
that.
what you did last, he's like, go back to being you. What you did last year clearly worked. You might not get the most views, but it's working. You did 23 million in real estate.
Yeah.
He's like,
What do you
he's like,
what more do you want, right? And he's right.
yeah, and
Like,
he's like, I know
yeah.
people who have 100,000 followers, have so many views, and they don't sell nearly as many houses as you, And so that's what
Well,
frustrates me with the social media stuff, is we get so confused on how much attention we're getting. We're forgetting what's the purpose of the social media.
Well,
So that's
well,
why I don't know
yeah.
if you noticed, since my last Thursday, I kind of started going back to like posting my stuff and not like overly realtor stuff that people are expecting me. Because once again, one thing I keep telling my real estate coach is like, I just feel like I'm a circus animal on there. Like, I'm just trying to create content to please people, and that's not my personality, and that.
Yeah. Well, we talk about it, and like you said, at the end of the day, you still have to have substance, right? So, people could post all this stuff at the end of the world, or at the end of the day, and then you meet this person. This person doesn't have any substance. This person has nothing going for them except for the fact they were able to put a video out there. And what ends up happening is the real world connections will always overrule. And you know how I am about this. And again, it's one of those things I'm the most passionate about, is human connection. And these things are a platform, and they need to be looked at it only from that angle, that lens. This is not real world. AI is not your new best friend. These computers and robots are not going to be, yes, they're going to make you feel good about yourself and all the things that are coming. And we all know it's coming. It's not going to stop. But this is simply a platform in my opinion, to create more real world connections. My hope from this is not anything monetarily. If that happens, great. For me, it's more about how many more people can me and Elena touch? How many more people can we connect with? How many more people can we get to realize, earlier when they're middle-aged, which is us, right? We're middle-aged. And a lot of middle-aged people right now are struggling. They are struggling. They live on social media. Any downtime, they're scrolling on their phones. They're watching life pass them by.
Keyboard warriors.
Yes, they want to hate on people. They want to make bad comments because they're so upset in their own life, and I literally have this conversation with my wife and my kids, because you're going to be around people, and people aren't going to treat you with respect, and people are going to be mean, and people are going to be ugly, and people are going to be nasty. And I come from it from a place of empathy. I think, well, that's why I'm happy, right? I tell my people out there, and I show it in my real life. I have a happy life, but I choose to be happy, and I choose not to let negativity enter my body. I choose
Yeah.
to not let negative people or their actions interfere with my world and what I got going on, right? I've got
So
this bubble around me and my family, and for me it's more about if someone does things like that or is feel sorry for them. Like, how
yeah.
sad does your life truly have to be? And
Yeah.
it's probably coming from a place of sadness.
Well,
When
I
these
just
people,
saw a video from Gary Vee. I think it was actually over the weekend. And he said something like, someone asked, like, how do you deal with haters? Because obviously Gary Vee promotes social media, putting yourself
yeah,
out there, being authentically you. And so the guy or woman, I don't know, but they said, how do you deal with haters? And he goes, compassion, really. You just
yeah,
treat them with compassion because those people are so upset with themselves that the only outlet they know is on you, you
right.
know? And you think about that, and it's true. And because I've been thinking a lot about people have always shown me hate. Like, just, I remember, I'll never forget my old office. I walk in, and I didn't do a lot of business then, but they probably saw my potential. And I just got hate from these female realtors, these team lead realtors. And I never understood why. I never understood why. And I'm like, y'all do more business than me, right?
Yeah,
But I think it's because I just am a good person. you
that's
know?
exactly right.
And
Yeah,
people hate happy people. They
that,
really do. And I'm like,
you hit it right on the head. Yeah,
you're bragging about all this big business you're doing in real estate, but you're an asshole to people who are doing less than you. That doesn't add up.
yeah. No, you're absolutely correct. You hit it right on the head. Is people hate to see other people happy.
Hmm.
And when you hear the comment that misery loves company, it is
Hmm.
there's not a truer statement out there. And they this is what me and Leonard are trying to do to you guys out there for it's going to get out there, but this is the messaging that me and Leonard are trying to get through to you guys is no one else's life has anything to do with your story, how they are towards you, how they are towards people, how they view you, what decisions they made up about you has nothing to do with you. You are in complete control on how you ignore that, how you handle it, how you react to it. All of those things are completely within our own control. And I can just tell you right now, when you come from a place of compassion, you come from a place of kindness, and he does. And that's why I love the dude so much. And we probably have sent him multiple followers. And I tell people all the time, he is a mentor to me. I've never met the guy, but I've watched enough of his content to know that him and I look at our lives very, very much the same way. He looks at his life and he realizes that there's nothing him and his wife can't overcome. There's nothing him and his family can't overcome. If he lost it all tomorrow, it wouldn't matter to him because he is so in what's the word I'm looking for? He knows who he is. He knows where he is mentally. He knows what kind of person that he is, and he knows that the kind of person he is the kind of person you're supposed to be. And no matter what gets thrown at him in his life, it's going to work out. It's going to
Yeah.
be just fine. It's going to be okay.
And
And
most
yeah,
people don't realize it's not going to be the first time that you deal with people that anger you because they hate themselves, that you just be like, all right, I don't worry about it anymore, right? Because I
yeah,
talked about that with my therapist last week. I was like, how do you become that person that just doesn't care? And he goes, you make the
that's a
decision
great
to just
question.
not care.
That's a great
Right.
question.
And so
Yeah.
it's funny because after that conversation with him, the next day, I think is when I texted you, that those sellers, they ended up selling their house for the same, they dropped it to exactly where I told them to and sold for closing costs, which they sent me a nasty email that it's irrelevant, me telling them closing costs are happening with other listings as it should be me. Anyways, and then they sell it and they go online and she posts this thing like, we sold above asking and we did this, and it's all a lie, right? And so
Yeah.
naturally I get angry because I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you sold exactly where, and then she brags about the other realtor. I'm like, you sold exactly where I told you to, but you didn't want to face reality. And then I sat back and thought about it. I was like, how sad is it? How
Yeah.
sad is it that somebody needs to go online and lie about stuff like that to make their ego feel better,
Uh-huh.
right? And it's like, that's not a me problem. That's a them problem. I
That's
did my
correct.
job.
Yep.
I didn't get paid for it, but it is what it is. I did my job, and I know I did it well because they
Right.
sold literally where I told them to sell. And
Yep.
they sold with closing costs, which I literally told them would happen.
Yeah. And
But I'm not
it's
hopping on social media and lying about their results.
and it won't matter, right? At the end
You
of the
know?
day, because you're putting the right stuff out there, you've got your head in the right space. And you just talked about asking your therapist, how do you get to the point where you truly don't care? You're already on that path,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to get to that point where you're in, when you do enough of this and you realize that the way they're doing stuff literally has nothing to do with Elena Sweetser. And this is for everybody out there. Please get this messaging through your head. It does not matter what anyone else has got going on, what anyone else does. You are a control on everything. It all starts with you. So when we talk about accountability, it's not accountability because you messed up. It's not accountability because you think you were the wrong. The accountability is realizing that you are within 100% control of whatever happens to your life. 90% of what what was the quote that I sent you from Lou Holtz? Oh, life is about 10% of what happens to you and 90% of how you react to it. And it's absolutely spot on advice. It's absolutely correct. And I learned that the painful way for multiple years. I could have learned this lesson. I wish I would have learned it in my late 20s, early 30s. I didn't learn it till my late 30s, right? So, and everybody learns at a different time. Lena's learning it in her mid 30s, right? Hopefully Kian learns in his late 20s. And the earlier you can realize that, and that's the quicker you get to a happier life. I truly believe that. I really do. And just being thankful and grateful for where you are today. It doesn't mean that's who you are tomorrow. Like, you look at what you and I complain about. What do we bitch about on a daily basis? We're too busy. We're not getting enough rest. I'm not a good enough father. I'm not enough good enough mother. I'm not a good enough husband. I'm not a good enough wife. You and I go back and forth constantly in your head, because you and me are the same with our mentality, is I'm not doing enough. I'm never enough. I'm not a good enough friend. I shouldn't have let this slip. And what it's telling you is that the Elena you are today was the Elena that you were chasing when you were 20 years old, 25 years old. You wanted this life. How,
Well, you see the quote. It's like, what a blessing it is to be tired from a life you prayed for.
That's exactly correct. And you've told me that offline, and I'm glad that you just said it out there for the people there, because it's the truth. And again, when you start to really just think back at your life and you start to really dissect it and you really look at things like you just said, that is correct. At one point, Elena wanted more money. She wanted a house. She wanted multiple properties. She wanted to be a mom. She wanted to be a wife. She wanted money in the bank. She wanted to travel. What is Elena Sweetser doing today? All of those things. You're doing all of those things. And we complain about how busy we are and all this stuff, but this is the life we envisioned, right? And what's crazy is we're talking here today, and hopefully when you and I get on this thing 5 years from now, and we're still doing it and we're still putting this stuff out there, we're having the same conversation, and we're that much busier. That's that much more stress. There's that much more going on in our life. There's that many more people that want to connect with you and I. There's that many more people that want to be in the circle that we're helping, and that they're helping other people. You can't think big enough. And that is the exciting part. And we're going to look back and say, Elena, why did we get on this social platform? Why did we want to put this messaging out there? Because we wanted this to blow up. We wanted this to be big. We wanted people to listen to our advice. It wasn't about following me or following you or the accolades or whatever that came with it. It was, there are so many people out there that are in the same boat as us, dealing with the same life struggles, dealing with the same stresses, and they don't have an escape. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to embrace it. They don't know how, they feel like they're failing. They don't know where to go. So they just quit. Roll up in a corner, and they get on their phones and they scroll and they watch TV, and they get in their own little bubble, and they slowly but surely over life seclude themselves more and more and more and more. And then they look up and they're alone. That is not what this
Well, I
life
think it goes
was
back to the
designed
video
to
I
do.
posted
It
last
just
week.
wasn't.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the video I posted last week. Like, nobody has hobbies these days. It's
No,
sad.
I
Right?
don't.
They think Netflix
No.
is a hobby, or going to
Yep.
the bars is a hobby, or staying up late doing who knows what, drinking is a hobby, right? And so, like, ever since I really dipped into Lego as a hobby, like, I've been made fun of. And I'm like, okay, well, my drinking has gone way down. I don't drink.
You look healthier.
Like,
You
I
look
drink
great,
maybe
by the way.
once a week
You
now.
look great,
And
by the
even if
way.
I do, I go to bed early, right? I was like, my husband and I's marriage is phenomenal right now because we've found Lego to bond over. Like we'll just sit there for hours, talk to each other, listen to music, laugh, you know?
Yep.
Like, but people hate on that. But the thing is, like, people have forgotten to do things that make them happy or find connection with their spouses,
Girl,
right?
we
And I think
yeah.
that's the issue. So many
Yeah.
people now are so caught up in trying to prove who they are in this world, especially on social media, why people lie on social media,
Right.
right? So they're trying to create this persona in their head that they're forgetting, like, who they really are here.
No,
And we're not
they've
doing things we love anymore.
no, we're doing things because it's what we feel like we have to do, or it's keeping up with the Joneses, or we're worried about this person, and we become a world of comparison, and it's sad. And like you look at what you just said, what the benefits are of you doing that. Okay, so you took on like, and I agree with having a hobby. I think it's a must. But how many of our friends will say, and this is our own friends, and I'm calling them out right now because me and Elena do. How many of them will say, "Oh my God, I binge watched the whole season of this over the weekend. Oh my God, I'm already caught up on this series, this series, this series. Oh my God." So what you're seeing is, and this is exactly how I grew up. My mom and dad's only form of entertainment was the TV. So you get off work, you work all day, you have a meal, you do your thing, and you watch TV. You watch TV, you watch TV, and you become numb to this life, right? And you wake up and you have the same life over and over and over and over again. And then you look up and you realize, wow, I lived the same year for 45, 50 years, and now my life's coming to the tail end, right? That's not life. That is not life. Life is what you just did. It is strengthening that relationship with your husband. It is doing you going to a park and making something special for your son, and going outside the box for St. Patrick's Day and doing something as little as doing a St. Patrick's Day hunt or whatever it is that you did yesterday. Like, are you for real? Like, so little. But how many memories were created by that, right?
Yeah.
You look at this vacation that I'm on right now, and it's all about me making those memories with my kids. It's all about those connections with my wife. We played games till 2 o'clock in the morning last night, and the amount of laughter that was around that table, I could not. I'm not lying. It was that was one of the most fun game nights that I've had in a hot minute, because it was the adults and the kids, and they were cracking up. And guess what they weren't doing? There wasn't a phone in sight. There was not anything. It was human connection, engaging, and literally they said, "This is the most fun we've had all day. Oh my God, this is so fun!" And it was playing board games,
Yeah.
right?
What games did you guys play?
We played Hitster, and the kids have never played that.
Oh,
It's
wait, is that the song one?
The song one, and they just want
Yeah.
to keep playing it because they got to play the songs. They got to sing along with the songs. People were laughing at each other's horrible lyrics. And that's what made it so fun, right?
Yeah,
And
I enjoy that game a lot.
yeah, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is what it is supposed to do. This design of this life is supposed to be this way. And like I said, it doesn't mean you can't be driven. It doesn't mean you can't want nice things. You can have both, but you have to find out what makes you happy. And some people, money makes them happy. Some people, running a business and shutting themselves off. That's not me. And more kudos to them. I believe that when they get older, there's going to be a sense of regret there. I don't want to have that. I know you don't either. But this is the messaging that me and Elena are trying to get out to the people that are our age, because we were you. We were struggling mentally. There was plenty of years Elena and I wanted to give up, and we wanted to quit, and I saw myself going down that path, right? Big part of the health journey that I'm on. By the way, I did hit the goal. I was a little bit past Christmas, but I did get down 50. I finally did get on a scale.
Nice.
I did get on a scale, and which you know how I am. I try to go like once every 6 weeks because I don't like the daily
Yeah.
deal. But I did hit the 50 number, 50 number down. So very, very close to where I want to be. I still got to get some more muscle on me, but overall was getting my health right. But I've recognized, look at all these positive things that are happening in my life now. When I stopped caring what other people thought, I didn't care about the hate. I was going to be the genuine Ryan that I've always been, that my friends and my family love to be around. And I want to be that person till I leave this world, right?
Yeah.
And that's just how I look at it. I'm drinking less, I'm eating better, I have a healthier lifestyle. I believe I'm a better boss, I'm a better leader. All of these things that you and I we're talking about 2 years ago before we started this podcast is starting to get that messaging. I'm starting
Yeah.
to believe the message that we're giving more
Yeah.
so, right? And you and I are on here. And another reason why I love talking to my girl Elena every week is because when we have these conversations, I just keep ingraining these
Right.
things that we're talking about in my head more and more and more. And thank you to you, because if I wasn't on here with you every week, I could see how easy it would be to slip back into a negative thought process, negativity, drinking too much, not taking care of my body right, not being the best of who I could be to my wife and my kids. And anyway,
Well, I think it
I'm
really
so
goes to
thankful. I'm
like
so thankful.
it's there's so much truth in who you surround yourself matters, and because I joined Lifetime about a month ago, and
Mm-hmm.
our lender Corey and his wife are super into Lifetime. They kept saying it's like a community there. Our boys go there. They have so much, and for like literally a year now, he's been like, do that, because I would complain. I was like, ugh, I'm so stressed. I need to work out. Blah blah blah. Because he was an athlete too in hockey. He played semi pro. So he and Cole they bond over their little semi pro days. But anyway, so finally I was like, okay, I've had enough. So I joined the gym, and I've been loving it. Like I literally go every day. Kian is my best accountability partner. He this morning asked Cole. He was like, "Can we go to the gym?" I was like,
Yeah.
"This kid." I was like, "Yeah." I mean, one, I'm paying for it, but two, I want him to enjoy the gym, and I also want him to grow up with a healthy lifestyle, understanding fitness is important, because I didn't really
Right.
have that. Right?
Yep.
Like you
Me
need to
either.
work your body every day.
Yeah, me
It's
either.
not like my mom fed me fast food every day, but there was never like, let's go on a walk. We would do bike rides and stuff, but not like fitness is important every day, right? But I would have never done that if I didn't have someone like Corey who's like influencing me to do that, right?
Yeah, now you're
Or
influencing the next
having
generation.
you guys who are older than me like bring me back to reality when I get upset about the stupidest crap from life, right? Or my mentor, my real estate coach mentor, who, Elena, what are you talking about? Why do you need to be bigger, more views on social media when you were doing just fine? Your stats last year showed you did just fine. The ones who are getting those views did a quarter of what you did last year.
Yeah, you're chasing the wrong stuff.
Yeah, so it's like, it's
you're
so
chasing the wrong
important.
validation.
Yeah,
you're
it's so
chasing the wrong
important to
validation.
have those people in your life that kind of bring you back into the important stuff, that are realigning you constantly, because it's not just a one-time thing. They're realigning you constantly to being your best self, because when you're your best self, how can you not enjoy life to the fullest?
That's
you know?
exactly right. It makes you the happiest. And like I said, isn't that what we all want? Don't you just want to be happy?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, and it could mean, and it doesn't, like you said, we've said before, we got people that we know that, might make 50 grand a year, 60 grand a year. And some of the happiest people that we know, because they don't need they don't need the materialistic stuff. They don't care about those things, right? Everyone's priorities are different, but at the end of the day, are they happy? That is what the hell are we doing?
I'll
Like
tell you
just
what,
said,
when
start
I-
your, yeah.
When I
No,
was
go
a
ahead.
little stressed out financially, I wasn't happy at all.
No,
So I can
yeah.
imagine those people who are living well above their means. Like,
Yeah.
no wonder you're unhappy. It's
Yeah.
stressful.
Because you're just, like you said, you're having to work that much harder, and you're working that much. Are you working that much harder because this is the life you really wanted? Or are you working this hard because you think this is the life that you want to show off to other people and you want the validation from other people? And
Yeah.
I would guarantee you that the majority of the people are the latter. They are trying to chase this life of what they feel like they have to show their peers, and what they're realizing is no one gives a shit.
Well,
No
that's-
one cares, and they just don't. No one cares genuinely how much money Ryan Bean has. No one cares how big my house is or what cars I drive, right? They may say, "Oh my God, that's a beautiful house. Oh my gosh, and they'll make their opinions
Well,
about
they care,
all these
but not in the
things.
right way. They
Right,
care as
and-
in they're looking
yeah.
at
Yeah.
like comparison.
Right. So then they feel like, okay, well, where am I at in my life? I must be in the wrong spot. I must be behind the ball. I must be. No. Are you happy? At the end of the day, and I'm telling you right now, there's been years I've been happier than others. And I can tell you right now, there's been years where, I wasn't very happy. And there's been years that I was letting negativity get into me. And now what I realize is that I have a very happy life. I'm going to chase happiness, whatever that looks like. If that means me moving up in my career, then that's what it is. But if it means I'm good with where I'm at and I've got a great, happy life, I couldn't ask for any more. You're winning in life. You're
Well-
winning in life, because most people aren't happy. So
Yeah.
for when you get to the point where you're happy in life, that is the win. That is the ultimate win, and it's the win that no one can take anything away from you. That's what I'm chasing. That's
Well,
what
it's
I
like
know
my
Elena's
therapist
chasing.
said, like you just have to have your own level, your own stick of success, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember like I at the end of the year I told him I was like I have this pressure now, like I did a massive amount of volume. How now I'm gonna have to do double that or I'm gonna have to do more the next year. And he's like, why? And I was like, well, because that's just what you do in business. You just have to keep doing more. He's like, did you not like the money you made last year? Did you not like the life you lived last year? I was like, yeah, I liked it a lot. And he was like, so isn't that enough? So he's like, if you scale at the same amount or just a little below, would you still not like that money you're making? I was like, yeah. He's like, so who cares? Because the more that you're trying to increase your volume, you're just trying to please other people.
Yep.
And
You're
that's why you keep losing yourself.
and you're becoming exactly you're becoming a version of yourself that isn't you anymore. And what did we talk about when we got on this podcast? The one thing that we would never ever give on was being real. And me and Elena, like you said, we've been on here. I'm sitting in a room right now with chaos going behind me that you could probably hear because I had kids running around in this Airbnb. But I wanted to make sure we got on here this week and did it right. I'm in the middle of a bedroom, filming a podcast. Elena and I, when we first started, we were trying to figure out audio issues, and we couldn't be more real. We put it out there. That's part of the experience of being real. And I can tell you right now, Elena, when you are the real, genuine you. There's a glow around you, and you're happier with yourself. You're happier to be around, and you're finding what makes you truly happy in your life, and you're seeking happiness. It's not, and if the money and all that thing is that stuff comes. What people don't realize is that stuff ends up coming automatically because you are just a happier person, right? And it may not be as much as the guy down the street. Who cares? Is it enough for you and Nicole and Kian to look up and say, I could not have had a happier life? I got one of them. What did I say earlier in this podcast? You get one. You get one shot at this. Why do you not want it? Why do you want it to be miserable? I don't understand it. I don't get the concept of we overvalue money for happiness, and that's just the reality of the world that we've gotten into.
Well, it's the reality of the world is we have an ego problem.
It's probably true.
And social media
true.
is a big part of that. But,
It is.
well, it's made it bigger than it is.
Yeah.
But that's the issue is everybody needs to feed their egos. And the fastest way to feed their egos is through outside validation.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the right way. I am saying it is not the right way.
Right.
It is not the right way. That's
But
why we
it's
have
easy
so
to
many
get
unhappy
sucked
people.
into. But it's easy to do. And
Yeah.
like you said,
Like, think about it. How many people are struggling in their marriage and then go online and post a picture with their spouse and or their family and how happy they are?
Right.
This happened. This used to confuse me because I remember this realtor that I used to be like, oh, he's doing more business than me. And then all of a sudden, like, they used to post all these happy photos of their marriage. And then a year later, nasty divorce. Nasty
Yeah.
divorce.
Yeah. What if you took that same amount of time that you spent taking videos or taking pictures and editing those pictures and post? What if you took that extra 10 to 15 minutes and just said, you know what? Let me take my wife on a walk.
Let me ask her
Hey,
today,
what-
like, is there something I can help you with today?
Yeah.
Is there something I can be better at in my marriage for you? Because I got
Yep.
caught up in that crap before 2020, before Keenan's born. I remember one time Cole and I got in a massive argument, and we were going on a double date for, I think it was a comedian or whatever. And so I posted a picture of me, him, and this couple we went with. And the next morning he got mad. He was like, you and I were fighting last night, and you posted like we were happy. And ever since then, I've never done that again. I'm like, you're right. I'm like, you're right. Thank
yeah.
you for correcting me on that.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's like, okay, where are we spending our time? And like I said, my time should be spent with those loved ones. It shouldn't be doing that. Now, again, like I said, me and Elena are not hypocrites, right? We post all the time. We use social media. We like the platform of sharing our family pictures and sharing our successes and our stories, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, we're so antisocial or we're so anti-social media, yet we use it. We're using it right now as we speak on this podcast, right? But we are not fake. And at the end of the day, you'll know when things aren't going well in Ryan's life because there's not going to be a lot of posts. There's not going to be a lot of things I'm sharing. There's not going to be a lot of happiness, right? There's going to be a lot of things that are done offline because I'm not in that headspace. And you and I are getting on here for the right reasons, but most people don't, and it's an escape, right? So that's just the reality of it. But I think at the end of the day, like you and I talk about, you're in control of your life. And I think what we really need to focus on is how we're searching for happiness. And I think if we get one last message out to the listeners today is you should be chasing a life of happiness, not a life of that you think that, Sally down the road thinks you need to live, right? You don't need to live their life. You don't need to chase their life. You need to chase the life that's going to make you as happy as you possibly can.
I would take
Period.
it a step further and say chase fulfillment within yourself. Because
Yeah.
what is happiness, right? People get confused. Like, what is happiness? Well, what fills your soul?
Right.
Chase that.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, when I am being naturally me, I glow. Everybody glows when they're naturally being themselves and they're happy inside,
Yep.
right?
It just makes it just more moments get created, more memories get created, more connections get created when you're your real genuine self, and like you said, and when you're happy. And I agree with you 1,000%. Fine, and that's a great last point or point from Elena is find fulfillment, find what makes you happy. And at the end of the day, if you hate your life, you hate your job, you hate your career, change it. You have the ability to do it. And yes, it's going to be scary. It's scary for everybody. No one gets to skip that step. No one gets to skip the scary step, right? It's going to be scary.
I thought of something actually this week that we can end this on about that. And I was like, people hate they hate people who are living the lives that they want, but they don't want to work for.
Yeah.
And that's the only way to really see it.
I don't know what else I can add to that great
I can't do my mic drop because it'll mess up the audio. But
These mics
picture me
are
picking up my
pretty
mic
heavy.
and dropping it.
Yeah, on your foot that would hurt. These
Where's
things,
my
these things are
little
legit.
mic drop we used to use for our video right here?
Oh yeah, I know. Yep. Wink.
All right, well, enjoy
guys,
your vacation.
Yeah, you guys take care. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next topic.
Bye.
See ya.